Hi, Brittany. Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. I am a mentee, currently,
Mentee. Okay,
currently
awesome.
a final year midwifery.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for just taking some time to hang out with us this afternoon for our MMB Real Talk. This is my first time actually connecting with everyone here, so I'm excited to present and talk a little bit about my journey and share some information with you. Let me pull up my slide here. All right, let's see. Can you guys see this? Or is it coming up?
It looks like it's loading. There it is.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
there it is. Okay, perfect. So no one can do this quite like you, finding your niche and celebrating your journey in midwifery. Um, it's so funny that this title kind of, I don't know, I picked this title a couple weeks ago, and just last night I had like a moment. I was just looking through some books. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, and I found this book called Sisters on a Journey. And it was actually given to me from my mentor when I was in school, and I just hadn't seen this for a little while. And I looked in it, and it was a note from my mentor, my preceptor, Melinda Fowler. She was at UCSF, and I was really glad to be with her. And that she wrote this really nice note just saying how much she appreciated reading stories of midwifery and how they inspired her. And then at the end of it, she said, "Enjoy the journey and finding your niche." And I was like, oh, that was pretty awesome. She gave me the title, but I had maybe was already thinking about the title, and it all kind of comes together at the last moment here. So I just brought back some good memories just of, oh, some good and some hills and valleys of just being a student and being on call. And I remembered Melinda and her presence and her like power when she was in the room, and like how she would enter every room and greet everyone, and the room would shift, and just the essence of who she was. And I needed to see that. I don't think I hadn't had a BIPOC preceptor or a person of color either. And just me being able to see this beautiful Black woman coming into spaces and owning the floor, and connecting with students and residents, teaching residents, and just all the many talents and skills that she has. And so it was something that I really needed to see. And I was impacted by that. And I'm taking this moment to reflect and to remember her. So thank you, Melinda. And it's pretty neat to be a part of MMB. Thank you for the mentors and for choosing me to be a mentor in this process. It's kind of like a full circle. Myself, I'm practicing now, I'm midwife practicing at Communicare Ole. And so I work at a community health center, and I do deliveries at Sutter Davis Hospital. So I'm celebrating my 5 years of practice. So yay, made it to year 5. And so I took this moment to pause and just appreciate my journey, and hopefully that you can do the same with me today. As I was remembering, I remembered this quote, just it simply says, the revelation may not come from learning anything new, but from remembering something you forgot. And so sometimes we need like encouragement, or whether it's some power or some rest we seek. It's not necessarily always trying to gain and get new information, but sometimes it's just from remembering something we forgot, or finding a book with an inspirational message in it. It's something that, it's like it was already with me. Everything you need is already with you. And so just a little bit about where we're going today on this, my talk. I'll just talk a little bit about my journey, talk about something that is kind of I struggled with for a lot of my school and even just over life. And I think we all struggle with this comparison trap, and comparing ourselves to others, or at some point in our lives. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. I'll talk about the essence of you and just bringing your full self. But we'll also look at some reflection towards the end of this. I think we'll cut the recording off a little bit and we'll have just a little bit of reflection for those of us who are in the room today and just think about our niche and our talents, our time, our treasures, and just have a few reflection questions for us too. Just looking back at some of my journey, I graduated, like I said, from UCSF. I had the opportunity, though, before entering midwifery school, of connecting with some really great research mentors, and I kind of it just kind of stumbled upon me, kind of how the way callings work, they kind of find you. And I was in Fresno. I'm from Fresno, and I did a lot of community work and nonprofit work, and happened to be in this health initiative group. And I met Linda Frank, and she's a PhD nurse here in this picture, but on my far left. And she was just sitting in the meeting, and I realized that she was from UCSF, and that was the first time I had met anyone from UCSF. And I was thinking about my journey to midwifery and applying, and I connected with her. And who would have known that she would have been a great mentor for me throughout midwifery school? I started doing research with her and found out what qualitative research really meant. And I have a picture here on the left. While I was engaged with some research during school, I am listening to what mothers wanted and listening to mothers' experiences, women of color in their pregnancies. They mentioned and they brought up, what about the men? And those women in those focus groups were considering, hey, have we actually talked to the partners? And they were asking about what support do their partners have? And so from that, I myself and the research team, we started gathering guys, the partners, and we heard about their needs, their desires, and I actually ended up deciding to use this for my research thesis, and ended up doing a paper and got myself published, and I was proud of myself here. But it was a lot of work, and I think about it, and and towards the end of your midwifery school, you do have before graduation, you could choose to do a master's thesis, and I was really thought about, should I have done this? There are multiple moments thinking, was this the right choice? But yes, it was. At the end of it, I was very proud of myself and was able to defend my thesis. And the title of my work was called "What About the Men? Prenatal Experiences of Men of Color." And they, were able, you could find it published too, and they were able to talk about their themes that came up were being the rock, providing care for their family. It's a blessing all the way around. They wanted to keep faith as something centered in their process, and then tell me everything. They really felt like there was unmet needs of people, providers and staff, not really telling the partners everything that's going on and kind of keeping them secluded. And then the other was the fourth one was more frustration with the healthcare system, was the theme of feeling like a guinea pig and feeling like they were being tested, and kind of this mistrust theme. And so, I was able to connect with different groups of men from Fresno, San Francisco, and Oakland. And so we came up with these themes. And, when I think about mountaintop parts of your journey, I was like, this is a really, I'm just so blessed to have had this experience. And then research and qualitative research has kind of stuck with me. I've enjoyed connecting with other research groups and in Fresno and with antenatal and group care. And so these are some of the things that kind of just like, I couldn't have put this together. This is like, I'm very thankful for this journey. And I was thinking about looking even farther back. It's when we think about these experiences that we have, or feeling blessed about things that have happened to us, we have to take it a step back. And I want to just acknowledge like my own family. And we say it's Black History Month every day of the year. So I want to just brag on my family a little bit. And my family, this is a picture on the far left of just my grandparents, Pauline and Les Kimber. They moved from DC around 65, and they started our Central Valley Black newspaper, the California Advocate, and they were just movers and shakers. They were incredible leaders in our community, activists, and started our Martin Luther King March, and we continue to march every year. And it's the picture of him meeting with Cesar Chavez also, and just the connections and community and those roots that you come from. Every family, we all come from roots and can find something to be proud of too in our past and our roots, and kind of this foundation, this legacy that we each have. It does play a role into who we are and where we're going. And so starting just to connect the dots a little bit for me, and I'm thankful even for this presentation to remind myself of our legacy. And then in the far bottom right corner is just a current picture of family, and I'm just very, I'm blessed to be connected and just appreciate my journey so far. And I finally just got engaged. Whoop, whoop. So I'm excited about that too. Just a lot of celebratory. Thank you. Thank you. So we talked about some of those mountaintops. Okay, let's go down to some valley lows, maybe. The comparison trap. I wanted to bring this in. I feel like when we have come from this journey and we find ourselves, there could be lots of things we're really grateful for, but something that stumped me up a lot was just maybe like this thorn in my side, was like this comparison. And maybe I would compare myself to classmates or in school, and compare myself to why I can't, or why does it take me so long to do this repair, or why can't I chart faster? And and I wish I had those skills, or I wish I was more welcomed, or those kind of thoughts. And they could really become a thief of joy in your walk, in your while you're at school or while you're at work. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey. It's these funny little stick figures, the one on the bottom said, I wish I had, with the superheroes here, I wish I had the cool belt, and then Batman saying, like, I wish I had the wavy hair. But they're both superheroes. They're both incredibly, we're all superheroes. Like, we have these gifts and skills, and but the comparison trap, or even this social comparison theory, tends to distract us heavily. So I have here just on the slide, it says the social comparison theory, is the idea that individuals determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others. And so it's like your worth depends on like how you compare yourself to everyone else. And that's just not healthy, and that can be draining. You can find yourself in spaces where you're just not happy about yourself at all. I think Psychology Today was saying that like 10% of our thoughts are around comparison every day. And so I want to shift back and think about, how do we practice like healthy comparison? That's another little stick figure here. Looking at, instead of comparing or making one person better than the other, it's like, no, we're both awesome. So how can we become aware of even triggers that kind of make us feel like less than, make us have low self-esteem, or continue to push us on the outskirts? I feel like social media is something that's very heavy, and they found so many links between like even social media and depression. And if we just take a moment to like look up from our phones, look up from being so ingrained into other people's lives and families and practices, we will maybe reshift that focus, practice some gratitude, reflecting about our past stories, our journey, how we actually got to this place right now. And then kind of this benefit of community. There is actually this healthy comparison where we're kind of help in a way, like this healthy competition. It's funny, I'm thinking about a woman, an awesome woman that I work with. It's funny, Melanie, I was just talking about her, Brittany, another Brittany that I work with. I remember when I first started, and she's also an awesome midwife that I get to work with. And I remember her first meeting, like she was just starting with us, and she just walked in the room and she was so brave and confident, and she was just telling everyone about herself, and like she was quoting cool quotes from like Brene Brown and like just showing up all the way. And it was funny. I tend to be like a little bit more quiet in meetings, and like it's like, I thought I continue to admire her, and I feel like that's really healthy. Like I feel like I can show up a little bit differently sometimes in work meetings, and just having that balance. And so there's like, we're both awesome kind of thing. And this like healthy comparison is possible. And so, and even when you're looking at everyone on this call, and like I appreciate you, Melanie, for your work and your journey. And Umar, I'm excited to learn more about you. And Elena, thank you for your work in this role. It's really about community too, and how can we push each other farther, and how far can we get together? We're not alone in this work that we do that is so heavy and so draining, and a lot of times isolating. So just taking a few moments, thinking about the essence of you, your presence, and just celebrating yourself as an individual. Your presence matters. When you walk into the room, thinking about what you carry and what you bring with you when you're in those spaces, when you're at the clinic, when you are got a busy day. They packed you 15 patients in the morning. That's never happened to me. I pray to God it doesn't. But lots of people to see. You're feeling overstressed and overwhelmed sometimes. But your presence matters. As a BIPOC provider, as a Black woman midwife, my presence matters in the room. When I have other Black patients, Black mamas, and they notice and they recognize me, they maybe give me eye contact. My eyes matter. There's a lot of psychology even just around looking at someone in the eyes, and I think there's something about specifically the left eye. I don't know if anyone here has heard about that. But there's a connection that is made with your patient, with your family, even with your staff, your nurses you work with on call, making good eye contact. How about your voice and the vibrations that your voice carries? It actually has like, physiologic effects on our body too. And whether your tone is really high or like low, or you're very loud, or more quiet sometimes like myself, it matters. And when you've developed continuity with friends and family, patients, your voice can heal, or it can harm, right? So your voice matters, and your hands. Of course, we know about the power of your touch in a room. Being with a patient, placing your hand on someone's shoulder if it feels fine for them, and being in a space, being a part of a birth, receiving a loved one, a little one in your hands, for the first time, allowing the dad to catch with you the baby. There's so much power in touch and in our hands. And so just taking a moment to think about that too. And as it can go from the positive, right, to the negative too. So sometimes when you're stressed and having this like intense day, that also is like rubs off on people. People can tell. And what we could think about ways, I think we've had some really great mentors who've also presented about stress and kind of managing your stress and ways that we can have better self-care too. Because people notice. I'm sure you notice, like when you talk to family members who are just like really angry, and you kind of leave that room or space feeling angry yourself, and you're just like, why am I this way? So it matters. We will talk a little bit about like finding your niche also in midwifery, and how you can come about identifying your talent, your treasures, things that you love. And so you may, towards the end of this, we'll have like a few minutes here to think about what are things that you just absolutely love? Like if we talk about treasures, what are things that you just love doing? This does not have to do with nursing, doesn't have to do with midwifery. You are a whole person. What are the things that you bring outside, outside of this medical space, midwifery space, that actually show up though in your calling in midwifery. It's funny, like I really love music and I love playing piano. And it's so funny when I find that patients like are musicians and we talk about, music and who's their favorite piano player or artist, or even with around faith. And like when a patient tells me like they believe in like prayer, they ask me to pray for them, it's like, what, it's really neat to see sometimes these worlds like cleaning. We bring our whole self, to our work, and it's okay, right? And the talents that you bring, and the time that you invest in your time, or the time that you invest in your talents and treasures is important. And so we'll keep going here. The last, whoops. Did that go forward? This is just a quick, just some pictures of how your story matters, your niche, and how you invest in yourself really kind of reflects things that you love. Maybe you love policy, maybe you are all about research, maybe you want to focus more on breastfeeding, or even publications and writing and sharing your story so others can read and like have a book and pick up a book and find beautiful messages in it. What are things that you love to do? Maybe you enjoy international work and traveling abroad. I remember I was able to travel to Malawi during school too, with a few different nurses and connect. And maybe that's something you want to continue to do in your work. In the corner at the bottom, the left-hand corner, Parteria y Medicinas Ancestrales, that logo there. I was at the CNMA conference this last year, which was really fun. I did get to meet Jimena Rojas, and she was an awesome midwife with a beautiful story, how she connected at the border, and like serving just women who are disadvantaged, who are stuck at the border. And like, this is her heart's work. And you could tell like she would not want to do anything else but this. Like she has found her like niche. She understands who she is, where she's coming from, and she found this space. But she was on a journey. Like she didn't just was born and there she was. No, she had a journey of getting to that place. And so I'm hoping this time is just kind of been good for you to reflect and appreciate a little bit more about yourself and the gifts that you have. At this time, we're actually going to